Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. We're us. If you didn't know, we're all here. We're all here. Yes, we're all here. Nobody fell in any gopher holes or stabbed themselves with an avocado or.
Oh, how's your hand? Yeah, how's your hand?
Just okay.
Still there.
Still there. Yeah. Getting better every day.
It's months of recovery.
Yeah.
Wow.
PT again tomorrow. It hurts.
I bet.
PT at all.
They usually tell you 3 times a week. Is that what you're doing?
Twice.
Oh, twice. Okay.
Yeah. They start out nice because they do heat and they start massaging, and I'm like, oh, okay, if this was it, I'd be. Then they force you to bend and bend. I'm like, oh, no. My fingers like this, and it won't.
They got these little dumbbells. She's gonna sit there and go like this.
It's bendable, sort of. It's getting there.
And it's better, right?
It's moving.
Yeah.
That's
a good thing. It's moving.
Yeah. Always a plus.
Yeah.
More movable. Yeah.
Her incision went from here in a zigzag pattern all the way up to this part of her finger. So it's like that long.
So it's kind of like a hard pattern.
Yeah. I got the zigzag going in my palm.
So instead of having it on her forehead, she just go whap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have done that.
Chris, gotta be careful when lightning strikes now.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, it's usually in the back of the head. Just go whap.
I would never.
So are we going to do this and just read all the audience in here, or do I need to post?
Yeah, we could shout some people out now before the show starts. While we're still doing our self-buffoonery.
And while you're doing that, I want to point something out. So if you guys look at the green screen behind us.
Oh, yeah. Do tell.
So this is Seekers of the Unexplained Lost Souls. This is it's a mission going on. It's a movement going on, paraunity movement going on.
I Am Reveries watching too.
Is it?
Yep. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, in Northeast Asia, Korea, the Philippines, that general area of the world. And I Am Reverie, Apple and Reeve and good God. Bill.
Thank you.
I was thinking Bill, it wouldn't come out of my mouth. But that was on the show a couple weeks ago. It's their movement. So I've got this behind us in honor of them because guys, I want to show you something.
Yeah, look at that.
Made EVPE honorary members of
And we thank you very much.
Yes, that's awesome.
That is just
So if you look right in the middle there, those people look really familiar.
Yeah, well,
that's awesome. That's so cool.
There's your unity, right? The field does not just exist in the United States, right? The field exists across the globe, and some good people from a different country, from other countries, who are involved in a positive paranormal movement, recruited us to be part of the same movement. And they were awesome guests. They were really sweet people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like me.
Just like you.
Just like you.
Like you.
But I had to give him a shout out because we preach paraunity here. We live it out in the field with the people that we do investigations with, and now we are international.
Awesome, just awesome.
Thanks to
shout out to Ert. Ert is there. Tower Paranormal's there. Jenny's there. Todd and Carmela. It sounds like Anthony.
Melissa Blackburn, Roger,
Felicity,
Theo.
Karen Pio,
Jenny Colucci.
of course, I am Reverie.
Wow.
Yo, when I say we are international, I don't lie. Check it out.
Right.
That's awesome.
Hello from Indonesia. Yay.
Welcome.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
cool.
we have an awesome audience. That is
Felicity also in there. Thank you guys for watching.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate everybody out there.
And thank you to Souls for including EVPE, EVPI in that. That's a great honor for us. So thank you very much.
Huge honor. We appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They were sweet.
Cool.
I mentioned Roger. Roger's there too. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't mention him.
Roger's always there.
You just have to learn to sing karaoke. So anybody that was at the Bash last year should already know that Ron and Lourdes can already sing karaoke. And I used to host karaoke. So we're down with the Philippines, y'all. Let's go.
Not this girl.
Yeah.
I do love myself some karaoke.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
We've in the past, not recently, but in the past, we would
Go every week.
we would go to do karaoke. There was a place right where she used to live before here, 5 minutes up the street. And they're open like 10 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock at night until like 3, 4 in the morning. Because that's when I guess people come the most. And then during the day, they're not open. So we would go in for like an hour or two. We'd end up staying there for like 4 hours. So it's like 12, 1 o'clock. And then we'd be driving home. She'd go, "You want to do direct radio voice?" At like 1 a.m. Yeah. Why not?
I'm crazy.
There's never a bad time.
Jenny Colucci, Mary Beth Reimer, Todd and Chameleon, a.k.a.
I know I
Carmela.
couldn't even see her.
There's Ash. Thanks, Ash.
Ash.
He's probably getting tired of seeing my office. Thanks for putting up the green screen.
That's cool that you put that up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Had to. They honored us. I had to honor them.
Hey,
So.
Anton.
Anton Ritter.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, we do have great people showing up. Look at that.
We do. Full house. That's right, Miss Melissa. Woo-hoo.
And not the what's up, dude, Full House. Not the.
No.
Everett. I was waiting for you.
Now the party can start.
That's right.
Yeah, the humor element will drop dramatically if Everett's not there. You know that.
Right.
He's
Him
funny.
and his beard. He needs 2 screens for that.
Genghis Khan also here.
Fantastic.
Right.
Karen's always here with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa Blackman's here with us.
Shannon, Amos, Scott Reddick. Let's just read names the whole show.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
Because Hooked on Finex worked for us. That's right.
It's good. It's good we do it. We've had times when we kind of strayed from it a little bit more. We didn't mean to ignore the audience. We appreciate them always, but we would be so enthralled with the episode of the guests and the evidence and trying to cram it all
Last
in.
one. There you go. Oh no, not that one. God.
Hi.
Scott's here.
Here.
And in our defense, y'all, it's not that we don't love you, but thanks to you, there's so many of you. It would
We
be the
can't hit
whole
them all. You're right.
right.
We always have a great audience,
Sure
though,
is
and
so
we do appreciate that very
Very much.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what else we have on this show? Guests. We have guests.
I was just about
And
to say.
sometimes, most times, pretty much all the time. Okay, all the time. I've corrected myself. Great ones. Great guests.
Yes.
Like tonight. We have a guest tonight. You know we had a guest tonight? We have a guest tonight.
Ooh.
Great.
I think we planned it that way. Yeah.
We would have just kept talking, and then like
Yeah,
an
we
hour
forgot.
later, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You'd have seen him down at the bottom going, "Yo."
Remember me?
Yeah. Old people problems. Something feels missing tonight.
Something
Ah, the guest.
Guest in evidence. You guys got to do something. It's the name of the damn show.
Believe me, if that was to happen, our audience will let us know.
Yes.
They would. They're more on point than we are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So guys, we've got a really cool investigator tonight. This gentleman has been to Scotland. He is friends with Rick McCullum. He's been there with Andrea Perron. Everybody, welcome Mikey Thompson.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
Mike.
Hello.
How you doing, bud?
Mikey.
Fabulous. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing well.
Yeah.
We're still
Thank you for
alive
having
and kicking.
It always helps.
So for everybody watching, Mike is a. Do you prefer Mikey, Mike, Michael?
Everybody knows me as Mikey, I think, is the easiest way. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody has a Mikey, right? Somewhere in the family.
Let's get Mikey.
Mhm.
That's right.
I get to roll my
Put me on a
eyes.
cereal box, or
Yeah. I was trying really hard not to mention the cereal box.
Thank you, Larry. It's okay, though. It's every day.
If you haven't noticed, Mikey, there's no maturity in our show whatsoever. So
Hey,
feel free to
I
cut loose.
appreciate that. I appreciate it.
So this is near and dear to my heart because Mikey is a registered nurse. So first responders
Nice.
hold a really big place in my heart. So everybody say thank you to Mikey for his service as a first responder.
Absolutely.
So much.
Thank you.
Now, Mike, every time we have new people on the show, we have them explain what got them involved in the paranormal. It's a part of your bio, so I didn't read your bio because this is something that I thought I would leave to you.
Okay. Well, I mean, like everybody, I was a kid, stuff happened. Mom and dad said it's nothing, go back to bed. And so there were those weird things that happened, when I was young. But I guess, so the reason why I'm here today doing what I'm doing today is because in September of 2002, my daughter drowned in our swimming pool on September 14th. And I mean, they call it an ear drowning, not to scare everyone. Like, we got her back, but she was asystole for 26 minutes. She was without a pulse. So I found her in the deep end of the pool, and I started CPR, and we got her I had to drive her to the hospital. It was a whole thing, but after I got to the hospital, and they took, and this is the hospital that I worked at the time. I was an ER tech. So this is my work family. They didn't even recognize me. I was screaming like a banshee. It was horrible. But 8 minutes after I got into the hospital, the doctor came busting out through the trauma doors with her hands in the air, screaming, "We got a pulse! We got a pulse!"
Oh wow.
So all that to say, they call it a near drowning, but she was gone, and for that 26 minutes, I had lost a child, and it's the worst. It's every parent's fear. So, fast forward a month later, we spent a month down at Loma Linda University with her. We were back and forth. We weren't sure how she was going to do, if she was going to make it, for a month down there. But we finally got her home. And after that, once we got through that nightmare, is when all of this paranormal stuff started happening. At first I thought it was like post-traumatic stress for me from the drowning, because I'll tell you guys, the night we got home and I tucked her in bed, I went to bed, and I woke up at some point in the middle of the night, and I had thought that I had dreamt that she was alive. Does that make sense? Like, I really felt, when I woke up, I thought that she was dead and that I had imagined she lived. I had made that up. And so I ran downstairs to her room, panicking. I busted the door open, and she's laying there in her bed, and I grab her up and take her up to the room with me, just because it was horrible. It was like that for quite some time. But then at the same time, shortly after we got home, I would wake up to her screaming downstairs, and she was, 18, 19 months at this time. And so I would run downstairs again to get her if I didn't already have her in the room, and she would be shaking like uncontrollably and screaming. And we found out later she was, I said, "What's happening? What's wrong?" Like, I didn't know if it was from the drowning or what. And she said, "Little man is going to get me." Little man. She called this thing Little Man. And so now that opened up a whole nother door of, now I'm a father trying to fight something I can't see. And this is physically affecting her to the point where, it's devastating. And it was already bad enough going through the whole drowning. So fast forward to September 2016. I'm sorry, 2004, September 16th, 2004, 2 years and 2 days to the drowning, I lost my father to a heart attack. And so, I'm just a mess. well, in October of that year, a little show that we all are familiar with called Ghost Hunters aired. And I became obsessed because I thought maybe if I watch these guys and see what they're doing, I can do that at home and find out what's happening at my house. And so I went and bought a voice recorder, and I started buying up all the stuff I saw them using on TV. And I started doing my own little mini investigations at home, trying to figure out what this little man was to get rid of it. And so we did. We finally, this went on for a few years. You know, that was 2 years in between of that going on all the time before I finally started actually looking. And then there came a day when we finally got rid of little man. It wasn't a glamorous removal by any means. We were going to bed, and she was afraid to walk down the hallway to her room. She wouldn't go down the hall because she saw him down at the end of the hall. And she said, little man's down there. And so I couldn't see little man down at the hallway, but I said, that's it. I walked down there and I started swinging at the air, like where I thought he would be. And I like play fighting with little man, you know, I'm like, do I have him? Do I have him? And then I watched her, and to her, I was fighting him. And her bedroom was on the right and the bathroom was on the left. So I drug little man into the bathroom and I called her in there because what do little kids love to do? Flush the toilet. I mean, that's just a thing. And so I thought she needs to be the one to get rid of him. It's not going to be enough that I tell her it's okay, he's not here, like parents tell their kids, and they know that they're there no matter what you say. She had to be the one to get rid of him. So I was fighting him, shoving him down in the toilet, telling her, flush it, flush it, flush it. And she stood over there and was just focused like on getting rid of him, flushing. And I just kept doing it until I saw her make eye contact with me. And I said, is he gone? Is he gone? And she said, yeah, Daddy, he's gone. Little man is gone. He's gone. And that was, the whole room just like, I mean, it just cleared out, and it was such a relief. But wow, that was such a horrible experience. and I found that going to different places, you know, you guys talk about para-unity, and for me, what that represents and what that means is I can't go to work and tell people at work what's happening at home. I'm working with doctors and professionals and law enforcement. These guys are going to lock me up in my mind, you know. I can't tell my friends and family. They're going to disown me. I have nowhere to go. But when I walk into a paranormal event or a con or something where I have like-minded people or people have gone through similar things, I can tell all of you this story, and not one of you, not one person in chat will ever ridicule me or beat me down for that. You know, we lift each other up. And so I found peace in this paranormal community. And I really now I just do it to see if I can maybe help someone else in need. And it's therapy for me, you know?
You know, that's a pretty amazing fatherly instinct that you had. I mean, that was brilliant. No, really, that was brilliant.
I agree.
You're probably right. She probably little man would have, she needed that. And you provided that for her. That's awesome.
I thought not just that, but he provided her with the ability to think and believe, and you know, and I say that loosely because it very well in her mind was probably occurring just as Mikey explained it. But in her mind, she flushed, and that's when he's gone. So now that's been reinforced that she helped get rid of him. She's the one who agreed he's gone. And I guess the only question I had, Mikey, because that was brilliant, was he's never come back, right? In her eyes, he's never come back, or has he?
No. And I got it. Just to go back to that, she was so empowered in that moment, you guys. All that fear that was there before was gone. She was in complete control of that situation, and she was in charge. And she, you know what I mean? So that was huge. I don't even know how I thought it was like go and do it, but it worked out. What we were driving down after all this happened, we were going down Main Street one day, and it was like a holiday. So one of the furniture stores was having one of those 4th of July sales or something like that. And you know the big blow up floppy arm guys that do this when they're having the sales to move people in. We had stopped at the light, and Jelena looked out the window and she said, Daddy, look, there's little man. And I thought, oh no, you know. But I looked over and I saw this floppy thing just blowing in the wind, looking down at us in the car. And I thought, I was trying to transform that in my mind to what she was seeing in her mind. And I couldn't imagine the horrible thing that she saw coming at her every night or coming down the hallway. And so, but that was it. She was just showing me what he looked like. I think, that's what he looked like, Dad. That's what little man looked like. But after that, we never had any problems. I mean, now there was stuff that happened to us at home. My kids were, like our bedroom door would open and close and footsteps down the tile and like all kinds of stuff that would happen, but nothing like tormenting like little man was. So,
yeah.
Well, and we've talked about, a few of us have said it, and they even said it in the chat that you empowered her. But I think there's a bigger message behind that, is that you empowered her at that age. But that's something she's going to take with her forever through life.
Right.
My father empowered me to beat little man when I was a child. So as she gets older and she gets stronger, that empowers her even more. And you can use that as a basis for everything when as you raise her. That's fantastic, man.
And then you believed her. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tony.
That's an excellent point, Christian. But the other great part about what he did is he empowered her on her level of what she was experiencing, not tried to empower her like, that's not happening. You don't. Right. He literally said, do I have him? Is he here? Dragged him into the bathroom, said, flush him. That was awesome, Mikey. Just awesome.
Thank you. That's funny because I've asked her since, when she's 22 now. And she's doing her prerequisites for nursing. She has no residual effects from the drowning, nothing. She's married. She's living her best life. But I asked her, do you remember that? Do you remember little man? And you know what she says? I don't remember little man, Dad. I don't remember the horror of little man that you described. She goes, what I remember is you. I remember you coming into my room screaming. I remember the fear that I saw in you. I remember the panic that I felt when you grabbed me out of bed. I remember feeling that fear that you had every night when you came and got me like that. She said, I remember how it affected you. And that really kind of got me because, I didn't want that for, we try to be the tough guy and the fatherly, strong rock and all that. So for her to remember how it affected me like that was kind of, it was hard, but at the same time, it was a hard thing to go through. I still wasn't okay with the drowning thing. That was still in my head.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful to have her, and I know being in the medical field, I've seen it go the other way so many times, and I don't know. I had survivor's guilt for a while. I don't know. I didn't understand why my kid lived and this one didn't, and it's just a battle. But here we are, and it worked out the way it did, and I'm just trying to. Like I said, I use this as therapy for me, and if I can help someone along the way, even if it's not paranormal, even if it's a family that had a near drowning and doesn't understand or lost their child, and maybe they get some hope and peace from this story or something. We're always trying to help, no matter what it is. So.
Right. No, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that really is. That is, and with something, not only the empowerment part, but that's empowering with something that most people are not taught to be equipped to deal with. Most adults aren't equipped or won't even entertain the legitimacy of it to deal with. And you looked out for her completely devoid of judgment and just handled it and made it so that she was an interactive part of handling it.
Right.
That's fantastic.
And that memory of her, you being in a panic, that for her would tell her how much you loved her, how much you tried to protect her, because at the time when she's little, she also felt that it's not like she was suffering your pain. She was like, thank you, Daddy, for saving me. And the memory, even though it's the panic and all that, but that's showing her how much you love her and is always there and protecting her. So
right.
That's so true.
Well, and I want to point something out about your story, Mikey, that you're not giving yourself credit for. Most situations when parents find their child that way, They just give up. They freak out. Now, you did freak out, but your training and what you do for a living, your first you still maintained enough control. You started CPR. So even though she had been gone for so long, it had to have had something to do with saving her life. So I hope you give yourself a little bit of credit there, because if you wouldn't have done what you've done, if you would have did what you did and started CPR, that one small miracle chance that she had to survive probably would have been gone.
Well, and we were down in Loma Linda, and I got caught in the elevator with one of the docs at like 3 a.m. one time, and he was disheveled and beat. And we were going down to the vending machine, and he said, "You're Mr. Thompson, aren't you? Your daughter's Jelena?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I just want to tell you, sir, I've read all the books and I've seen all the cases, and I've been here and I've done it all. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that your daughter is a true miracle." And even though, yes, medically we know that it was key that she got air and she got circulation and those things that I did physically, but I promise you all and everyone in the chat, I will never take credit for that. That is a higher power that gave my daughter back to me, 100% in my mind. And I was a tool that day. I was a piece of the puzzle to help that, but I did nothing but what I was supposed to do that day to help her. That was all a higher power. That I can't take credit for that, I won't.
Just walk away knowing that God gives credit where credit is due, and you maintained and didn't give up. Yeah. And that right there's a sign alone. So
thank you, though. Thank you, guys.
All right. Now that the whole audience is
in tears,
and
no.
It's
a happy ending.
I know.
Yeah,
it's a happy ending.
Yeah, thank God.
Melissa, y'all made me cry.
We do have I think maybe an exclusive. I don't know that I've ever shared this publicly, but one of the clips I sent you, and I don't know if this is the right time to mention this or not. I'm sorry if I'm ahead of myself, but one of the things that would happen when, like, I would bring Jelena up to the room with me, and I'd have to hold on to her to know that she was alive, and she'd sleep in the room with me. There were times where I'd wake up in the middle of the night because I thought I heard someone talking to me, and I thought it was their mother, or her mother Julie had come home from work and was yelling upstairs at me or something. So I'd be like yelling back, "What? I'm tired." And I didn't hear a response. I'm like, okay. So I try to go back to bed, and Jelena would say, "Daddy, Mommy's not talking to you." And I'm like, oh, okay. And she'd say, "But someone else's." So,
hey, honey, you go to sleep now because Daddy's not coming.
Yeah. So I bought that recorder, and I set it on my nightstand. And the very first EVP I ever captured after the incident, after the drowning, we got her home, that really validated for me that this was happening, that she's hearing this and seeing this, and I think had a big role in why I had her flush him, because I knew she knew he was there. Yeah. Was the I call it the howl. I don't know what else to call it, but maybe somebody to this day, I don't know. It sounds like there's syllables and things. I have never really. It was horrifying to me that day. That morning, I sat in the kitchen playing that audio back, and I heard that, and I knew that this is what she's hearing. This is what's happening. So that's what really got me buying equipment and diving into this field, because I wanted more. I wanted to find more. So,
okay, I was going to start with your pictures, but now we're going to start with a howl, and then we'll go back to the. So let's go ahead and listen to that. Here we go.
Obviously, that's me snoring in the background.
Wow. I was trying to figure out what that was. Play that one more time, Chris.
Heavy breather.
I thought that was the EVP I had of Audra snoring there for me.
I thought it was Darth Vader.
For the first time in evidence history, the snore was not the most disturbing part. that howl was something. Yeah, play that again.
Right.
Pay really close attention to that howl. It almost sounds like a cry.
Okay.
Here we go.
Wow.
You know what it sounds like to me? Like when somebody goes, "Woo!" like you did something. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know, but it's like it's a howl. Like
And I've had other people listen to it and say it sounds like it's saying Jelena, or like there's words like Lena or something. Like if you listen to it again, I mean, I don't want to play it all night long, but or whatever, however you want to. But there, you know, so it's that whole thing. I don't tell people. I call it the howl. I don't tell people what I think it is. You know, hopefully somebody can hear something else. But we, you know, that was right there on the nightstand, right next to the bed. And
it was loud. It's loud.
Yeah,
Wow.
very loud.
Yeah, it is loud. One more time, Chris. I just want to see if I can hear any vocals in it.
Yeah. Here we go.
There's definitely pitch change, and that pitch change, if you listen to it fluidly, kind of sounds like it. But I'm not hearing any vocals in it.
Okay.
No, but I thought I heard it a second time lower.
Yes, there's a little yeah. There was something else after, yeah.
We're going to be on this one all night then. One more time. Sorry, Chris.
Okay, we can. That's no big deal. There we go.
The higher pitched, louder, kind of has that banshee sort of scream.
Yes,
I think there is something underneath.
There is something right after it. Yeah.
Almost like a little whimper at the end, right? Like a little.
Yeah, like a little at the end, yeah. But it does kind of sound like a banshee. Now thinking about it, it does.
Yeah. It's got that banshee kind of a sound. It doesn't. I don't hear a clear vocalization in it, but I think to not lose focus, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. Well,
that's already like holy cow.
Right. And if that's not enough to spark someone's paranormal career, I don't know what is. That's what got me hooked, and you know that was my first big fish. But it's personal.
And assuming right at this point, just for people watching who may be thinking this, any possibility of an animal in the house or anything like that ruled out.
So we had 2 dogs that were outside dogs, and I did that whole thing. I played that entire 8 hours that I had. I could hear cars driving down the road behind. I did hear a dog barking faintly down, one of the neighbor's dogs or something. So it was completely different from that. That, like, I audacity'd that to death.
Perfect. We just need one. There was no dogs or animals in the house.
No animals in the house.
Clearly in the house.
Right next to your
right. And that's what I wanted you to take off the table, because people watching, everybody's got their little bit of I don't know, because they weren't there, and that's the only plausible other thing. And if you take that off the table because then that should not be there.
Yeah, I even thought maybe it was one of the other kids that came up to the room. Maybe one or something like that. Could that have been it? Like I was trying to, but that definitely wasn't one of the other kids. Like, I went through all of it. But again, at that time, I was not an experienced, paranormal investigator. I was a guy with a tape recorder hearing some weird noise. And so, but I had watched enough on the shows, or, I thought I had got enough to where I could, what I wanted to do was prove that it was not something in my room. Right. I didn't want something to be in my room. I didn't want to hear that. And I wanted it to be a dog or something else. So but I just could not find an answer for it. And I've said that.
There's one significance about that recording that everybody's overlooking, is if you listen to Mikey snoring and you listen to the howl is in front.
Yeah.
His snoring is behind. If that thing is right next to him, that howl should be back here, not here on the recording. It's actually in front of his snoring.
It's
right. That's an excellent
snoring.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tony. I know where Tony's going.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's an excellent point. But the other piece of that is that howl, if you listen to the clarity of the snoring and the clarity of the howl, that sound is not traveling through outside walls into the house. It's right there.
Right.
The snoring to the howl are, and you're right. I think it's even closer to the recorder, or between the recorder. So
because it doesn't sound like an animal howl.
Yeah.
No.
Well, it made sense because she was hearing things and telling me this, but I hadn't heard it before. So it was it kind of went along with the claim. Like she's hearing people talking in the room and hearing these things that I can't hear. And even that one, I slept right through it. Obviously, I was out, but but I'm glad that I caught it because, like I said, I didn't want her to think that I didn't believe her I didn't want her to bury that and have some adulthood trauma from this because no one listened and so I went looking for answers. I wanted to validate, and that was I was mad after that, guys. I was mad. I was angry that something is in there messing with my kid, and I wanted to find out what the heck it was. There was one night, real quick, I'll tell you. Everybody's asked me, did I ever see Little Man? We were in the living room in the recliner watching TV in the dark, just the light of the TV. And I had one of those corner computer desks in the corner. And Jelena had fallen asleep. In my arms, I was rocking her sleep, and I'm watching TV. And then I hear her go, "Daddy." And I look down, and she's looking in the corner above the computer desk. She's not looking at me. And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I see Little Man." And I tell you, the pucker factor hit. I froze, and I couldn't look. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see Little Man, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, this is getting real. So I turned and looked up into the corner, and I think a lot of you will understand what I'm saying when you see darkness in the dark that's darker than the dark. That's what was in the corner of the living room, just hovering around the ceiling, like just a mass of black shadow in the blackness. And I couldn't believe I was seeing it. I couldn't believe what was happening. And so I got up out of the chair and ran upstairs to the room with her. We took off, and that was it. Cause I was like, okay, now what do I do? Do I go get a ghost trap and slide it under there, or hit it with the stream? Like, what is happening? How do I get rid of this? So But that was the only time I ever physically saw anything that she had seen. But
was that before the flushing or after?
That was before.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the howl thing, incidentally, too, just to kind of add perspective, is it may not necessarily speak to proximity to the thing that recorded it. It could be a resonance thing also, where if it resonates higher, it's louder. And it makes us through recording be perceived as being closer. But I think what they were, especially what Chris was getting at, is that it was louder than you.
Yeah. Like it was in your chest, yelling in my face or something. Like, yeah.
And it didn't wake you up.
Well, perhaps his snoring created some kind of a white noise that.
I thought about that, but the howl.
I thought about that too.
Lord, yeah.
And because it sounds like it's on top of his snoring. It's on
yeah,
top.
I thought about that. I'd have to.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just.
Dare I say, hear it again?
Okay, one more time.
Because if the snoring is continuous and starts before that, you have a case that possibly there's a stochastic resonance element to hearing it. But if it's established in between or without that, then maybe is there a fan going? Something else creating a white noise could work as an extender, like for Wi-Fi, where a sound wave kind of runs out of steam, but white noise generated from like a fan or something mechanistic can give it a little bit of a boost, so the propagation will go a little further. So that's a possibility for, not that it's taking something from far away, but something that maybe resonated lower than hearing became detectable.
Right. All right, one more time. Here we go.
There's a break in the snoring right when the howl hits.
That's what I said.
I don't think it's stochastic resonance, but that was a great.
Not from the snore, but it could have been from a fan or something else for the same reason.
Something else, yeah.
But if it overpowered his snoring, like when.
Well, resonance is not overpowering. By definition, resonance means that it's at an equal vibration.
No, but I know, but when we talk about the white noise and the
you guys talk amongst yourselves, we're gonna work
and
this
the
out.
replacement. You say it all the time that it replaces the white noise. You say it all the time.
Right, that's resonating louder.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's what happened. I mean, it could be or
No,
not.
I got
but
you. Right.
if it's the snoring and it's not,
I
it
got it.
resonated higher. It could have overpowered his snoring sound.
I understood, but the base layer doesn't drop. The base layer would stay the same. The resonance comes from like the howl being on top of it, which would raise the howl up, but your base layer would still be at its equal value, and his snoring clearly breaks. We don't get
the base layer elevation with
I could
Staticon
still
because
hear
we
it.
removed that layer of it.
I could still hear his snoring, but it's just not as loud. Like I could hear his breathing. I can throughout the whole thing.
Again, if there's an air conditioner or a fan or something running,
this is what we do, Mikey.
I love it. I love it. That's what we got to do.
Something else.
I thought at one time I thought maybe it was a nostril whistle. You know. I couldn't figure it out, but
you may have a whole new career on your hand if it's
and record.
Or you need to blow your nose and trim your nose hairs, Mikey. That's
yes, all of the above.
All right, let's get to the pictures. Let's start with this one. We can talk during the pictures.
Oh, that's already good.
So I wanted to present this one to you guys and see what you thought. So the story behind this is from Rancho Camulos in Santa Paula, California.
Wow.
And there's in the main home there's an attic, and the children lived in the attic. So I was up there with a group of 12 of us. It was a private investigation, and when I was up there taking pictures and doing my thing, and one of the guests is a medium, and I didn't know this at the time, but she said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I take a picture of you?" And I said, "You want to take pictures of me taking pictures?" And she's all, "Yeah, I know it's weird." And I'm like, "Sure." So we did our thing, and we all left that building together, and we made our way to another building on the property. Well, as we were walking around on the outside, my buddy Steve pointed up to that attic window and popped that picture. And we just kept on going, and so this is from the downstairs or outside of the house, looking up into the attic now. And to me, it seems like there's something peering back out at us as we're walking by, and it doesn't look friendly, but I
can see it.
Yeah.
So
how far is that from the Glen Tavern?
Oh, it's maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes from Glen Tavern. Yeah.
So we're in New Jersey, like you mentioned in the beginning of the show. Tony and Sheree by Phoenix, Chris and Audra, North Carolina. I started when I lived in LA for 14 years. So I've been to the Glen Tavern a few times. We went once to visit, and I took her with me as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking. I didn't know about this place, but Glen Tavern's fascinating.
Well, you drove past this to go to Glen Tavern, and yeah, Glen Tavern's a whole nother. I got a good clip from that one. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting, and I love to get other people's opinions, because if it's nothing, I want you to tell me, oh, that's a coconut from that tree in the window, or you know what I mean, whatever it is. I'm not claiming any of this to be paranormal. I just thought that it was an interesting catch, and the reason why another reason I use this is because later I showed this to the medium, and I said, hey, do you see anything in here that may resemble what you were trying to take a picture of upstairs? She goes, yep, I'd seen that guy before on different investigations here, and I felt like he was up there again, hanging around you. She said, I was trying to catch a picture of him, but she goes, that's about what it is that I'd seen before. So
the only thing that makes this difficult is this is an older window. What year was the house built?
Oof. Yeah, I don't have the exact date. I'm sorry, right off.
Chris, you know what I'm thinking?
No.
Think about and that perfect timing. There's Scott Reddick. Think about a couple of the pictures from Piedmont from the Montgomery house. What did they do to a couple of those pictures?
Oh, the contrast.
Yep. I'd be curious to see a contrast change on that, because
and if anybody wants to take it and do that, that'd be great, because But I thought it was a cool piece, something that we caught just on a.
I think it's pareidolia.
Oh, you can do it right now. Yes.
Could you? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's even worse. Is that a nose and a mouth?
It has the hintings of it.
It has the hinting of it. The only thing that kind of pushes me away from it is if this was late 1700s, early 1800s up to about the 1900s, these would have been handmade windows, and this bottom piece you see here is approximately 6 to 8 inches. And that is sitting there because, so everybody thinks that glass is a solid surface. Glass is actually always in a liquid state. It's never completely solid. So if you take the glass that you make nowadays and you install it in a window, you'll notice the bottom frame of the window is always thicker and the top is always thinner. And they did it big time in the old days because glass was even more of a liquid state then than it is now, because we have a lot better technology and processing than we do now. So what happens is over time, that liquid state of glass, it slowly melts, kind of like, and so over time, the bottom portion of the glass will get thicker. So the reason they would make these bigger, thicker frames down at the bottom is so as that liquid state goes down, it still supports the window, but at the same time, it supports it enough that it doesn't create a flex at the top to where the top is going to break.
Okay, so that could be like a matrixing thing or something happening there with the glass.
It could be two different things. And the reason I say that is because if this is about 6 to 8 inches, that means the overall size of this window is about 2'8" by about 48 inches tall. So if you put in perspective of the window, that would make this face only about 8 inches big. Unless he was standing back.
That's what I was going to say. Right. Accounting for depth.
Yeah. If accounting for depth, he could be further back in the room when the picture's being taken.
Can you zoom in any closer on it, or is it?
Oh, yeah, but it'll start to pixelate. That's the
Yeah.
But the bigger question is did you use a flash when you took the picture?
No, it was outside, and it was it's actually an IR camera, or it's a Bell and Howell point and shoot, but it's got IR capability. And I got a text from a friend saying that this property was built in 1853.
That's a good friend.
And that's outside, right? Because is that a tree?
That's what I wanted to ask. What are we actually seeing? Is that just streaks in the glass, or is there actually something reflection of a?
That is like an old dying palm tree or something. Those are palm leaves that are there.
Okay.
I think that tree's gone now. Actually, I think because it wasn't in great shape when I was there. But so yeah, there was a tree outside the window. So this was outside looking up at the window. He just popped one, and then as we were walking to the next building. So thank you, Kat, for sending me the info. So yeah, it just, it was one of those things, and I love this still, right? Because this is kind of, to me, this is what it's about. I'm not going to slap a look at this demon looking at me in the window sticker on this.
Right.
And I'm not, I would never, I want, other people smarter than me that have been doing this a while to look at it and break it down like you did, Chris. I think that's brilliant. And I appreciate you guys taking the time and educating, because it's important that we.
No worries. But I'm going to throw another curveball at you.
Okay. Oh,
let's put it back to the original exposure. So what I was about to say was the only reason he could show up if he was in the depths of the room is if there was light inside the room that your camera could catch, like the light coming off the edge of his face or something like that. Why don't you guys pay really close attention to what is in that looks like a candle.
Oh, yeah.
See it?
I never even looked at that.
It does have the hintings of it.
Promise you there were no candles in the attic.
Yeah.
Lit.
No, but if somebody was standing about 3 to 4 feet back in the window holding a candle, that would illuminate their face enough that you could catch it in the picture.
That's true. So there was a group of 12 and we had to stay together, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't have been a staff member or somebody else up there, watching us go down to the other room. So another good point,
So herein lies the problem. This could be because of all the things that I've mentioned. It could be written off as pareidoia, but at the same time, there's other factors in here that might point a different direction. You'd have to have a series of pictures in the same exact spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of rule it out.
Yeah.
To confirm. I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't rule it out as paranormal. I wouldn't rule it out as pareidoia either.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this does look like a candle to me.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I mean,
it could be.
Doesn't that not look like a flame?
It does look like it. It looks like a flame. It could be the flame on a lighter. I don't know what other light source it could be.
Well, remember though, he's outside, so who knows?
Right.
Who knows what's behind him that could reflect?
He's shooting up from the ground. This is up in the attic, so this is at least 2 to 3 stories above him. So he's shooting up at an upwards angle like this.
No, I understand that, but even a street light tall enough could reflect,
or in the distance. That's
but
true.
They're all, everything said was good points.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't throw it away. This is a good. Hey, let's think about this one.
Yeah, it's a conversation piece. I mean,
that's right. Now this next one I love.
Okay, now this one's gonna get some.
Now I can tell you where the fuck this is.
I'm like,
I say, what?
We've all been there.
Yes. One of my favorite places.
Queen Mary.
I started there. I missed it.
So this one before now, let me just again, I am not claiming any of this to be paranormal or ghost or anything, right? This is another one of these breakdowns because so we were there on the Queen Mary doing the ghost tour before I ever had a group and we ever started doing this was our little pre-warm up, like let's go do something big and see if we can even, you know what I mean? So that's actually the same camera that we got this picture was the one that we got the last picture with. But if you've done the ghost tour there, we were upstairs on the balcony and the guy was at the door giving the whole spiel. And then when he was finished, he opened the door to let us in. And you have to get on that landing and then go down the stairs and then turn and go down another set of stairs to get down there. So we were in the front of the line. He opened the door. I stepped up to the rail there and Steve came up next to me and he literally just reached over and pointed and shot. And then we made our way down to the group and we did the whole thing at the pool. We didn't see this until we got back to the house and we're looking through pictures later on the iPad. And he said, bro, what the hell was that? Yeah. So there's a couple of things. Now, again, I've thought this through. Yes, I was in a group. Is it possible that someone ran down the stairs and ran over there past the, but again, literally he opened the door. We walked in, he leaned over, popped it, and then we all went down. I mean, people were going down, sure. But, and then could it have been someone that shouldn't have been down there? Right? Could it have been someone on the boat that had no business being in there and maybe they got scared and ran out because they heard us coming? Like that was another thought I had. But if you zoom in on it and look at it, it looks like the hair's blowing in the wind. It looks, I mean, I want it to be a person. I want it to be a person.
Clothes don't look like this century. Yeah.
So let me help too. This is a 42-inch rail. I've stood against this rail.
Yeah.
This person's waist is here.
Yeah.
That makes whoever this is about 7.5 foot tall.
Well, I promise you there wasn't anybody that tall in the group. So
yeah,
I would, I love to get people's opinions on this. I am not by any way, shape, or form saying I caught Jackie, but what is it?
yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like a little girl. I know that
floating, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, it almost looks like a ship worker, like a male, like in a jumpsuit, almost like I see like a tan or
But it almost does look like the hair is flowing.
In defense of the other part of it, with the people being in that, like I said, I started at the Queen Mary. I used to go all the time. They don't have access to that room without the tour guide. So unless you saw an actual person in front of the camera, you could probably rule that person walking around part out.
Great point.
Yeah, we were there. We can't go in there. We were not allowed to go in there because if their flooring are
cracking, falling apart, and there was damage underneath it to the ship.
You remember the name of the guide from the tour by chance?
Oh,
was it Matt Schultz?
Well, it was a guy. I don't remember his name. This was like 10 years ago.
Glasses on?
I don't think he had glasses.
Okay.
10 years ago, it could have been him.
It could have been Matt Schultz. Yeah, and I forget what's her name?
Katie Foreman?
No, somebody Frost. What's her first name? I forget. She was before him.
Oh.
That was Peter James.
Mary. I did email this to them like that day. I'm like, guys, check this out. I didn't hear back, but
I got two photos that were crazy. My whole 12 years doing this. And they were both at the Queen Mary, and I found both of them the way you found this after the fact, looking at them like on a device, not even realizing at the time I caught them. Yeah. And one of them was right below this. It was a shadow figure in the doorway to the boiler room that used to be the heat source for the pool.
Okay.
What I can tell you, what I know from the Queen Mary is there's nothing on this. This is that stairwell right here, right? That goes up.
Well, yeah. So there's the two stairwells, and that's above the changing room. But I was going to ask Ron, do you remember how many when you came out on that landing from that hallway out there? Do you remember how many flights of stairs you had to go down to get down to the pool? Is it 2? Isn't there like a flight and then another landing?
Yeah, and that's actually the opposite side of the changing room. The ladies' changing room is on the other side from the diving board. Okay. Right, the diving board's by the other side. So if you follow that little railing, like the wall behind the person, the image of the apparition, that little like angled arch, that's if you follow the slant up, that's the way the stairs go. And there's a landing, like a platform, and then there's another stairway that goes off to the right.
Yeah, because I thought there's no way anybody in our group would have made it down there in the time we got that picture because we went in first.
Probably not. Right.
And the tour guides don't let you pass them. They lead you down. They don't let you go down there without them.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Especially because it's dark,
And I got the shadow figure picture. That was part of my same argument. Was that they let us into the gallery going into the boiler room area, and they opened the doors. The security guy opened it with a key. That nobody could have been ahead of the door.
Right.
Okay. Well,
and I can tell you, there's nothing on this wall. That wall is just white.
He's right. It's all tiled bricks.
Yep. What's really weird is when I was 15, my first experience of the Queen Mary, right about this area here is where I saw the wet footprints.
Oh, wow. Oh, you know what? Someone in chat asked too about, is there someone behind her to the right of her? Is there another?
Like a mist right here.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that if you look into the blackness of that background, it almost looks like something else possibly still forming, whereas she is maybe twice as formed. But even she, now I realize there is some fuzziness and blurriness to the photo itself, but she is much more blurred than any of the rails or the.
And her left arm is transparent. See the arm right here?
Or not visible if it's behind her, but it almost looks like
tucked into his pocket.
Yeah, the other arm looks like it's either in the front pocket or thumb in the back pocket. I don't know, but
you can see
but you can clearly see that arm.
Yeah. I know it's highly speculative at this point, and it does not take away or add to the value of this capture, which I think is awesome. But there's a difference. We're having different interpretations of gender. I caught it as a male worker, like an almost like the zip up, jumpsuit kind of thing. Cherie sees the same thing. Some of you are saying she. Maybe a contrast thing again would maybe clear up, where you could see something that delineates gender or the hint of what gender is in this picture. But I just wanted to kind of preface that with the fact that this is already amazing. Even if it's transgendered, it doesn't matter.
Right. It really brought up the thing in the dark, though. That whatever you did brought that one behind it up.
Right. That's what I was just pointed out to Cherie. I'm like, now look at the haze. Look at that.
Yes. So whoever saw that in the background was pretty good, because
that was Inspectors Paranormal. Nice job, guys, for calling that one out.
Yeah, Genghis also sees the jumpsuit too. Yeah, that's what it looked like, a ship.
But you can't zoom in now, right?
I'll make our max screen out. I was looking at the comments.
To me, I'd almost say it's male too, because it almost looks like it has a high collar and a tie.
Oh wow! I still see a girl.
I think you see that because I can't tell if that's the continuation of the hair, or if that's a discoloration of the wall behind this figure.
Yeah.
Zoom in again, Chris, so that we can see the. Look, you can.
Oh whoa!
Yeah, now it looks like short hair, man.
Yeah, it looks like a.
We can almost see a mouth there too, and maybe an eye.
But look at that outfit. That outfit almost looks.
It's like a worker's.
No, it looks almost military, Navy sort of. Zoom back in on that, Chris.
No, you know what that almost looks like? A gentleman's jacket.
Oh yeah.
The gentleman's jacket would have had the high collar. It would have had the little pleated.
Yeah, it's possible.
I can't tell. I know there's something there.
There's definitely something there that you can't explain.
Yeah, much like that section of the pool, that the pixelation, when you start looking into too much detail, gets into the deep end a little bit. But unquestionable That looks like a humanoid.
There's a person.
Yeah, an apparition figure. That's crazy.
And I love this conversation about this. I love this, you guys. Like, I appreciate, all the input and everybody in chat. Like, this is what it's all about. Help me break this down and figure out, because if it's legit, it's a great catch. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think it's a great catch, and I think you got one thing in there. It's just hard to tell what the gender is.
Yeah.
But it is a great catch.
Yeah, Chris could probably list off the top of his head every possible thing that could induce a false capture here, like trickery or some kind of a pareidolia visually, and I don't think there's a long list that could qualify in that space, knowing what's in that space, and we've all been in that space.
Yeah.
This is a wide open space. There's nothing there that would have blurred the camera to make it look like somebody's standing there.
Right.
There's nothing in this area of the pool at all. We've all been there that would give you this image when you snapped a photo.
Yeah. So regardless of whether it's male, female,
right,
that's a human silhouette figure, and it shouldn't be there.
Well, there's no water in the pool.
I know.
And let's look at the chair in the background. It's a little distorted now because I changed the contrast and everything. Here in the back looks pretty solid. I mean, there's a little bit of a blur from the camera movement, but it's a hell of a lot more solid. So if this was an actual person standing here, it would have more solidity to it, and it doesn't.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, that chair.
I thought we would break this one down easier than the other one. Like, I thought for sure somebody would be, no, that's a person, but all these points.
And it's easier for us because we've all been there.
Yeah. No, that's very helpful.
And the fact that you say that you were the first ones in and you snapped the picture, there's volumes there. There's nobody there. Yeah. It's locked up. Unless someone did like a Mission Impossible and like sneaked in there, which I doubt.
I think I can't remember if it was they were about to shut it down to do some work and repairs in there, or they had just finished. I want to say this was one of the times we were getting in before they stopped letting people go down there because they were going to do some repair on that area or something.
What year was this, Mikey?
That was like 2014.
Oh wow, that was the year I left.
Yeah, something like that. It was been a while.
Matthew. I'm sorry, Matthew.
It probably was Matthew Schultz. He's a heavyset guy, blonde hair. Sometimes he spiked it up a little bit. He had glasses. He did great tours. Honestly, when I did public investigation tours, and I never ran a location like Tony Shree and Chris and Audrey did, but I helped a lot of teams run stuff. I learned how to interact with the public and how to make it fun for them and engaging regardless of what you would capture from watching him do it. He did a masterful job of working with the public. So if that's the guy, I wouldn't be surprised. And he knew the turf really well too.
Yeah.
It might have been
that Audra and I did our investigation April of 2016, and they hadn't closed the pool yet, but we heard about a month or two after they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Raul, thank you all for your input on that. Everybody in the chat and everybody I appreciate your guys's. I love this. Like I said,
we have a very astute audience, and they catch stuff sometimes when our guests have evidence that we didn't catch, or they notice the things that we're hoping they'll notice. It's a really educated audience.
Chris always does a fantastic job on windows and doors and how tall things are. He's great.
I tell everybody, Chris could find a black hair on a black carpet. There's no question.
that is an absolute understatement, because what he can pull from a photo, knowledge of windows and heights of railings, and just unbelievable.
Well, and for everybody watching, this is actually not a diving board; it's a slide.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good you pointed that out. I didn't even think, because I knew what it was, but I could see how it would look like a diving board. And they used to drain the water after the third class passengers swam in it and refill it with fresh water for the first class passengers. They didn't want to be in third class cooties.
First class
different times.
Truth. That's truth.
I'm sure.
Yeah, different times.
Yeah.
Oh, who's saying goodnight from Toronto? And hello.
I know. Hello.
I got to tell you that the night we did it, I wanted to get back because we heard Jackie. We heard her when Matt said we have to leave if you don't get responses. We actually heard audibly her go, "Aww."
Oh, wow.
And I caught it on recording, which I lost when we moved here. God damn it.
I had the same thing happen in the pool area, in the changing room area.
Yep,
it was
that's where
like,
we were.
very first disembodied voice right in my ear.
Nobody heard it but
Nobody heard it but me. It said no. And I told Matthew, he goes, I didn't hear it. So of course I had to, after everything was over, I was like, I'm gonna look. And I checked the recorder and it was there. And then he was surprised that he didn't hear it because it was so loud. I'm sorry, Chris.
Here's what's funny is then we went to bed. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And you guys know I don't sleep very well. I got up at like 8 after about 3 hours sleep. And I went down to get us coffee, and being a window and door guy, I'm like, I'm going to sneak into the pool. I want to get in there by myself. And you know how you come out that top door that they take you up to the top level and you come out that top door and it was just a regular door?
Yeah.
I got in there and I got the lock disengaged. And just as I almost got it open and snuck in, some guy comes around the corner. Excuse me, sir, what are you doing? I'm like,
yeah, breaking and re-entering.
Yeah.
All right, we got some great stuff from Mikey.
Yeah, that was cool. And we all had that kind of take us back emotional moment.
I love we all love the Queen Mary.
Yeah.
Memories. I started there. I used to go every month.
I used to go back
every month.
I was 15 years old, my first tour there. I heard her giggle and I saw the wet footprints and there was no water in the pool.
Oh, that's cool.
And I was hooked at 15 and I'm almost 51, y'all. So that tells you how long ago I was on the Queen Mary. I'm surprised I didn't get booked for passage on the damn thing. I'm so old.
Chris Allgood and Bob Hope tonight in the
lounge. All right. So the next clip we got, Mikey, is Aerith Get Out.
Oh, okay. This is a great one. And yeah, so we were in Aerith Castle, and this was where we were out there with Rick, and we had we kind of got a little investigation. We decided to walk out around midnight to the cemetery, because why not? You're in Scotland, and what are you going to do hanging out in a hotel, right? You got to go explore. So we found a local cemetery there in Aerith. We walked around. Anyway, we got back to the hotel, and we were told that we weren't going to be able to investigate there because whatever reasons. But the staff, the overnight staff, said Rick was talking to them, working his magic, and he said, you know what? Let's go walk through there. I'll let you guys in. So we went in and did a little investigation. Now, this poor kid, he bless his heart, he's a great guy, but he had to lock that place up by himself at night. So he had experiences, but he was still, I gotta tell myself I'm a skeptic, because otherwise I won't be able to go in here and lock this place up. And you know what I mean? It's too much. So when we caught this recording, as we're doing this EVP session, as I'm playing it back, he was opening the door to let us know it's time to move on to the next spot. Rick said, I wish we had a camera on this. This is perfect Hollywood timing. And we all hear the get out, and he says, well, all right. And he turns around and he walks right out of the room. That was his cue, but that's why this one was so fun, you know?
All right, let's take a listen. Here we go.
Was the time spent searching for them the reason you couldn't get out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Get out. And like I said, he had opened the door and he paused because we were playing that back. He heard the get out and he spun right around and walked right back out. We all lost it. It was great, but yeah, that was
that's really good.
That's awesome.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Rick's favorite country.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rick loves it. I want to go to Scotland and do some of those investigations. That's my bucket list.
Yeah.
All right, the next one. Go ahead.
I said I highly recommend.
Imagine.
We haven't. We're going to the UK for the first time in September.
We're excited about that.
We're doing a couple places that are
I don't blame you.
Old for a Paragon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love going across the pond. It's beautiful.
And you're on the West Coast, right?
Well, right now I'm working as a travel nurse. I'm been bouncing around. I am in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're not far from us. We're in Charlotte.
Yeah. So guess where I'm going in a couple weeks?
Waverly.
Yeah, that's my bucket list, guys. So I've been making rounds. I spent the night at Indiana State Sanatorium last week in the basement. Like I didn't spend the night in the basement. I investigated it, but I had the whole place to myself, and I've been bouncing around. I've been doing stuff, just.
If you make your way to the Northeast, to the New Jersey, New York area, tell us because we could probably set something up for you.
Oh, I'm planning on moving further east. So, yeah.
Everett.
I want to go to Scotland and get pissed drunk.
That's the place to do it.
You get drunk enough, you might not know you're not in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Everybody wants Scotland. You guys missed Everett's comment earlier when we played the howl. His comment was, "What does the fox say?" Everett's always good with the humor.
Yes, he is.
He's very.
The next one we got is footsteps.
Okay, so thank you for playing this one. This is definitely not a home run, holy grail piece of evidence, but and I'm hoping you guys. I'm sure you already caught this. There's a lot of things happening in this clip. There's a couple things happening in this clip, and the reason why I wanted to share it was because I wanted to get your opinion on it. But I think it's important to see things like this because it helps me to understand what's really going on in an investigation and make sure that you've got everything going, like the recorders and all the equipment out based on the claims or whatever you feel like is going on. But how else do I, without rambling, describe it without you just playing it? But you'll see what I'm talking about, and I'll explain more after the clip.
Okay, here we go.
Was that you next to me in the bathroom the other day? Scaring the crap out of me. That was you, or was not you? It was my glasses stripping.
Okay, so that little divider thing is in his bathroom. He's actually in his bathroom. His girlfriend's next to him behind the divider. One of the things that was happening to him is he said that there's a child. Okay, before all this was a private residence. I 100% had full blessing to use this to share. I don't blast private residence stuff on. It's extremely personal. And I made sure 1,000 times over that this gentleman was willing to share this, and he had no problem doing it. So just throwing that out there. But so in the clip, was everybody able to hear the footsteps?
Yeah, absolutely. Before you go any further, and I heard you mention something about a child, but if you hear how quick each step comes, they're tiny legs, and that child is probably running. If you hear the pattern under which that they get reproduced, like
and his claim is that he could see the kid looking at him through the slats in that screen.
Oh, okay.
But if you listen to him, he laughed and he kind of said, I think something's wrong with my glasses. But when I talked to him afterwards, he said he felt something brush his leg and he saw something out of the corner of his eye, but he never heard the footsteps. We caught the footsteps, but didn't catch anything running by. So to me, this is an interesting piece because all of this happening real time. For some reason, we're catching audible footsteps, and he's seeing something move in the periphery and actually felt something brush on his leg or run past him. So now, so to break that down, how is it that sometimes we catch a shadow and we don't catch a sound, or how is it that I caught footsteps but I didn't catch a shadow? Like all that was happening real time, but we got the whole picture, but some of it was from the evidence and some of it was from the client. So what do you guys think about that? How the fact that we all know what happened, something ran by, we heard it with the footsteps, but he didn't hear the footsteps at the time. He just saw something moving and felt something. Sir,
did you guys hear the footsteps?
I
know on review.
This was just him and the girlfriend and they're doing their own thing. We weren't even in the room. That was during review.
Oh, okay.
But he's saying that the gentleman said he didn't hear the footsteps.
No, we were talking about it afterwards, and I said, as a matter of fact, that's what made me go back and rewatch it and listen to him, because I'm trying to hear what he says, and he says, "Oh, there's something wrong with my glasses," or something, because he told me I saw something move by, and I felt something go by me, like brush my leg, but I didn't hear any footsteps.
Okay, but here's the really interesting part about it. Is the description of you saying, and he's the one who experienced it, so he's the experiencer. His senses are picking up what he is physically explaining to you that he experienced. But the part that's the biggest tie-in there is that regardless of whether he heard the footsteps, he said he thought there was something wrong with his glasses and thought something ran by, maybe brushed his leg. I'd like to watch it one more just to hear when he reacts to that compared to when the footsteps are heard. But what he was experiencing, part of that was captured in the audio recording with the footsteps. So there's a really good tie-in between what his sensory perception was giving him, regardless of whether it was caught on the camera or anything in between. So for him, that experience was probably as real as it gets.
Yeah.
And the audio on the recording backs up some of it. So
right.
How is this someone that you know well, or is just someone that reached out to you? And
he's actually an old coworker of mine, and doing a little research, found out that area that they live in, there's another guy that lives down the street that was having some weird stuff happen in it, and it's all that land was part of the Spanish-American War. People were coming up the hill, and there was a lot of stuff going on in that area. So, as a matter of fact, his son had ran into a girl that lived down the street, and she said, "Oh, I remember you. You lived in the haunted house." And she's all, "My house was haunted too." So it was kind of like a thing in that neighborhood where people were experiencing stuff. But
the reason why I ask, and I'm not questioning, his person or anything. The only thing that I would think that people would question is because you can't see one of his hands. It's behind the partition. Okay. And the fact that she's behind it. So I'm not saying that he did that, but I could see people saying, well, he may have tapped it or she may have,
Right.
Absolutely. But other than that, I hear the footsteps.
If I can, before Chris plays it, I want to speak to two things. One, everything Tony said, I agree. If you have a correlation between what he experienced through his sensory input and then it matches, especially in timing, which is why Tony was going for, which is brilliant. The steps and the footstep sounds, then you do have something that correlates the overall experience, which I'll speak to in a second. For what you're saying, the only reason I would not take a deeper interest in that is because they didn't hear it in the moment. And to me, if somebody was tapping on the time,
he wasn't there. It was only the girlfriend and the guy.
This is just footage that they gave you. You said
no. This was I had set the cameras up. We were off, and we had broken up into different parts of the house.
Okay.
So he and the girlfriend went in there because that's where he was seeing the kid. We went into the other kid's room. A couple of the other investigators went in another part of the house. But I had set up static cameras in each spot where he said, he saw stuff. So I was recording that area because he said in the bathroom through those slats is where he sees stuff. So
all right.
So again, I'm not saying that's what it is. I could see people saying that.
No,
I'm not saying that.
Your point stands now because I assumed, knowing you set the camera up, that somebody stayed in the room for it. But yeah, when we play it again, I'd actually see the same thing that Tony did too, because if he did see something out of the corner of his eye that moved and felt something, then something impinged upon his perception that he picked up. Now the sound, maybe they didn't hear. But that's what sometimes our mechanisms, our devices do. They don't give us extra sensory input. What they do is they modulate the experience to within where our sensors can pick it up. So that's why on playback you hear it in the moment you don't. Because
and that's why I wanted to see when it looked like he may have reacted to something went in by compared to where the footsteps are heard.
Perfect. Yeah, I agree. Yep. What did Raul say when you
Andrea being the eye expert here? She said this is called the pinhole effect, is what Raul's saying there.
Oh, okay. And that's a possibility. I thought that was a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, play it again because I actually what Tony brought up was I found intriguing.
All right, here we go.
Was that you next to me in the bathroom the other day? Scaring the crap out of me. That was was you, it was not you. It was my glasses stripping.
That was perfect. The footsteps run right by him, and then he goes.
He pauses, almost like he's watching it, or like he pauses, and then at the very end, he's like, "Okay, was that you or was that not you?"
Well, he laughs at first. He kind of goes,
"Yeah."
Just as exactly when the footsteps run by, he goes, "Huh," and then he goes, "That was you, wasn't it?" So that aligns perfectly.
Yep. And his other arm is folded across his leg under the other arm.
Well, that's what it is? Okay.
Well, one of them is, but the other, the one that's...
I thought one
was... I said the same thing to her, but the one arm's folded under, but the one that's on top is the one where you don't see the hand.
You don't see the hand. It's
behind the slats.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Here, watch. Watch his arms. He's actually kneed down. He's kneeling on one knee, and he's got his other knee propped up, and both of his arms are like this. And it's actually not behind it. And it doesn't move at all. Here we go. Watch it again.
Was that you next to me in the bathroom the other day? Scaring the crap out of me.
Yeah, his wrist on his right arm is behind the slats.
Right, but he doesn't move his hand at all. So if
but she's also behind the slat.
Yeah.
Isn't she? She's also behind it. So I'm not saying that I could see how people would, I'm not saying that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's why we do this again. Now, because I know him, I would vouch 110,000% that that's not the case, but that means nothing because you're absolutely right. We don't know what happened or didn't happen behind that curtain. I think, though, because again, we all know that when we're investigating, we see the night vision, and to us watching TV, it looks like it's bright as day. They're in the pitch dark. So I think that if something was tapping behind him in the dark like that, he would have reacted to her, maybe. Unless they meditated this thing, but like you said, you're going down a whole nother path with that, and I don't believe they would do that. But again,
and that does count, though.
I mean, that does count.
That does count because that's where integrity comes into play, and we're all subjected to that. If if that's someone that you vouch for, then that does matter because you're the one presenting it.
Yeah,
but Tony did say that it sounded like a child, somebody little running across the floor. Yeah. We've got a way to verify that.
Yeah, me?
Ron, can you run back and forth?
No, but even though nobody heard those footsteps until the recording was watched, they are there, and they do sound like a child.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh, come on now, Tower.
Yeah. Raul spreading the hate through humor. Good shit.
So with that being said, let's go to the next one. This next one's about 2 minutes. This is the McKay Mansion. This is pretty good.
Okay. So yeah, we had, now you're going to hear some crazy stuff in the background. That's my kids. This is like their first time investigating with me at Mackey Mansion in Virginia City. This was around Halloween. And so they're decorated for their Halloween thing. But it's important to note that there are a lot of motion activated animatronic things around there. Okay. And this particular area, we were not allowed to go down. The dining room was down there, and they had that area blocked off because I guess the apartment that the caretakers stay in is in that area too. And they had all their Halloween stuff and all these props and everything out in that area. So they had blocked it off, so we couldn't go investigate in that area or go down. You could walk down the stairs and go down there, but really there's a door that comes in, a stairway that goes up. You can go right in the dining room, and that's it in that tiny little space. So it'll kind of make sense here. You'll see.
Kind of creepy.
Kind of creepy.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
In the stairwell, there's a young girl or a young child they thought they captured. This is the main entrance to the home. And then we've got another steep staircase going up top where a young woman fell down the stairs and broke her neck, passed away. Hey guys. Yeah. Linda's going off. Do you hear her?
Oh, how did that happen?
She's motion sensitive.
Yeah, she's motion sensitive. What? Yeah, she's going off all by herself. That's awesome.
They have a.
Think. It says think.
So this animatronic is motion sensitive.
What?
Oh. Okay.
No one's down there but you?
No.
Light.
Uh.
I think it wants the light off. Squeeze.
Wow. Well, that was cool. There's nothing else down here except the dining room. That area's closed off. Dining room and the door to the outside. So there's nobody down here. Wow. You notice Linda didn't go off again when I walked back by. That was interesting.
Jim, is that the ship? Oh my God. The thing's flipping out.
Yeah.
Look, Tony got scared away.
That thing is scary looking, really. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Around like this, and then at him, it's like, what the fuck? I'd have been going.
It was creepy enough as it is in the beginning, and then it looks up with you with those eyes. I'm like, whoa.
It's almost like she wanted me to see her or know she was there, but that was, I mean, today we use motion sensitive music boxes and devices and things like. I would love to have a drag around a motion sensitive or motion activated Regan, and just that'd be kind of cool to take into different places. But no, that was a great experience. I don't know. I mean, could it have been the air conditioning kicked on? I don't know. Like, here we go again down that hole. What could have made it go off? But
well, I can tell you from experience, we love to decorate for Halloween, and I've had some of those animatronic stuff before. And man, you got to get pretty damn close to get them to set off.
Yeah.
At least the ones that I've had. I don't know if they're all more sensitive, but the ones I've had, you've got to get within 2.5 feet in front of that motion sensor to get it to go off, and you were nowhere close to that thing.
Yeah, I actually was a little scared to go down there. That's kind of the hesitation. I didn't want to go down there.
Yeah.
I think I said whatever it said when in my head when that happened. So that was a fun piece, I thought. So
yeah,
appreciate that one.
All right, so the next one we have is Harvey House.
Oh,
now
okay.
I just put the filtered one in so you could hear it better. So
okay, so this one, guys, this was one of my first big investigations. The Harvey House in Barstow, California. There's Harvey houses scattered around, but the train. What happened here was after the war, when they brought bodies home that hadn't been identified yet. They secured the bodies of the soldiers in the basement of this building until they could be identified and then buried by the families. So that's kind of what was. So this EVP was caught in the basement, and I love the fact that I get to share it with you guys and get your opinion on this because. So we had one female investigator with us, and she was paired with her husband upstairs, like on the 3rd floor, looking for Rachel, who jumped over the balcony. So there were 2 male investigators downstairs at the basement in this time, and they did not hear this audibly at the time. What happened was we were reviewing at my house. Randy had the headphones on, and he goes, "What the hell? No way!" And it was one of those. So they didn't hear it at the time, but to me, it is clear. It's no doubt. No question, and I was proud of this one. This is one of my earlier EVPs as an investigator. So,
okay, here we go.
What?
What do you think you heard?
I'm down here.
That's what he heard.
And then turn around.
What
Yeah, I heard the turn around. One more time, Chris.
Yeah, play one more time.
Here we go.
Yeah, I heard I'm down here, then turn around.
Come down here.
Come down here.
Come down here. That's what I
Turn
heard.
around. Yep.
That's what I just told him. Come down here. Yeah.
So we thought we heard, I found him.
All right, now you gotta play it again one more time.
One more time.
All right, one more time. Here we go.
It could be I found him.
It sounds like that too. Yep.
Right.
It does.
I found him.
It regardless of whether it's I'm down here or come down here, it is something down here, turn around. So regardless of whether that word's I'm down here or come down here, I don't hear what
I found
I
him.
found him. I heard it.
I don't hear.
Yeah, I heard both. I can hear come down here, but when he said that, I could also hear I found him. But that doesn't mean it's not a voice. Clearly, there's a voice there. There's a voice.
Did it sound female to you?
I'm sorry?
Did it sound female to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what too, is like a woman down there saying I come down here or I found him or whatever with the two male investigators. So, but yeah, that's one of my faves. I like that.
It's a great hack. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things when we debate back and forth about what we hear in recordings, and we have similar kinds of I'm down here or come down here or I found him, when we're sure it says something, one of the things I always lean on if I'm going to split hairs, because again, it's already the anomaly of being vocals that shouldn't be there. You've already conquered that hurdle, right? I'll go with what's contextually most sensible as far as the context of the scenario, of what sounds most probable, if it's part of like another sentence or thought. So come down here, you're already in the basement from a thought process, maybe redundant. I'm down here, possible. I found him.
Makes sense.
Makes maybe even more sense. Turn around. You could do that anywhere. So, I mean, that's just to split hairs between what the things are. And you could always voice print. You could talk into Audacity and record all three of those phrases and look at the spectrograph and see which one matches most closely with what what you had on that to see which one it is. But, I mean, that's when we do ours, that's a lot of times if it's something that's so I'm down here, come down here, or I found him, I'll go with the context of the scenario that makes the most sense.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense. The only variable in it is who she's speaking to.
Right.
If she's speaking to another spirit that's not in the basement, then come down here. I found him. So that I agree absolutely with what you said.
That's a good point.
The variable is who is she speaking to?
That's a really good point. Yep.
AVP.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I love that.
You know what I like most about it?
You
showed the video of the gentleman standing there holding the recorder, and he didn't react at all.
Right. Yeah, like I said, at the house, you should have seen him. He was sitting on the floor, leaning up against the couch with the headphones on, just like, oh, God, I got to listen to 5 hours of audio. And when that happened, he threw the headphones off. He's like, no way. And then he freaked out the rest of the night about there was a woman in there with me, standing right next to me, and I didn't know it. Like, that because we're all new investigators at the time, but that really kind of, it was a more of a, that's why we're doing this.
That's like Chris and the Phelps Dodge going, there's a woman in here. And then the CVP comes blaring out of the recorder going, you're right.
The best part is if you listen to the recording, I go, there's a woman in here. And Tony goes, oh, yeah?
That's exactly what I was like, really?
Chris at that time.
And then this woman's voice clear as can be, you're right. I'm like, oh my God.
He called Chris, you are right.
Yeah.
They're the best.
I remember that phone call. That was awesome.
Well, because I was amazed. I mean, I literally was amazed.
Yeah.
Great stuff, though, Mikey.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
We've got one more 1.5-minute clip from the Haunted Hill House, Joshua's room.
Okay.
Nice.
So, guys, this one's really, I think I'm proud to share this one with everybody because this takes it kind of to another level, and it's another reason why we do what we do, and to be able to have an experience like this. I'll just kind of set the scene. This was a group investigation. I was there as I paid to go to this and do this. So, but it just so happened that there was a gentleman that was there that was hearing impaired, and he was with his daughter who was interpreting for him. And we learned that he wanted to go to this specific location because a friend of his that was also hearing impaired had been and had a paranormal experience. So he wanted to know, as a person that's hearing impaired, could he have an experience too? He's still curious about the paranormal things. He just can't hear things and like we did. But are there other ways that he could have an experience? So and then this happened, and it was amazing. So
that's cool.
So this one I'm sharing so we can talk throughout this. So I'm going to mute everybody so we can hear everything that's going on.
Hi. Hi. Who is that?
Hello. He's deaf. Would you try to talk to him in a different way?
What?
Yeah.
Maybe if you touch him? Will you touch him? Yeah. I think he likes you. Yes. He's a nice man.
Can you touch his hand? My father's he really loves to play with kids. He's very animated because he can't really talk, so he plays.
Oh.
Joshua, can you touch his hand? Can you touch Joseph's hand? Can you go around and touch someone in the room?
Oh.
No freaking way.
That's right here.
No, that is the secret passage room.
Was that?
That is the passage room.
Do you feel that? That it's somebody hit something. What was that?
Isn't there a ball there?
Oh my gosh.
It said, please, you guys, I'm going to go back there, okay?
Okay.
All right, here I go.
Okay, here goes.
All right, well, let's go back. I want to make sure Joseph gets back safely. And girl, will you shine the light? Wants me to take a picture.
I see what you're saying. It's like
Oh, okay. Yeah. You want to take a picture?
There's another part of it kind of right here. The heel and then.
Yeah. It looks like a footprint next to the shoe print.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So actually, the beautiful thing about that experience was, I mean, obviously those were crazy loud knocks, and I thought that it was directly behind him moving around, but the people that were sitting and facing that little doorway, it went from that little doorway all the way around and behind the gentleman that was hearing impaired. He felt it. He felt the vibrations of the knocks, and that was for him. That was his experience. That was his paranormal experience. And what a better way to have that happen. I mean, for him to go and maybe not even expect to have anything because, who knows, but that was so just blatant, and you saw that we immediately ran back there thinking there's got to be staff or somebody back there banging on the wall. It was so loud.
Yeah,
and there wasn't. And one of the girls pointed out, are those bare feet? Is that a foot?
Yeah. Yep. There were.
You could see all of our shoe prints from us scurrying around back in there, but there were bare feet prints in there too. So that was, I don't know if that was there before or not or whatever. I was, more focused on the banging because that blew me away. But I just, was proud to share that with everybody because what a great experience. I was honored to be a part of that and share that with him, and I'm glad that he got that experience. And that's what it's all about,
It's a great experience because, looking at it, it seems like they knew they had to knock loud enough for him to hear it. Because if they did it soft, he wouldn't have felt it. So
it wasn't a little shave in the haircut,
Right.
We're here, bro. We're here. Hey,
that's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You know, when I first saw the clip, even though I know it was the Hill House, that looked exactly like the
Selma
top room at Selma Mansion with all the toys in it. And I'm thinking, did they take the toys out? I'm like, wait, it's Hill House.
Yeah, that's where
That's exactly what I thought it was. I was like, oh my gosh.
It looks just like Selma.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Is that Patty Negri sitting there with you?
Yeah, Patty and.
I didn't even see her.
I was wondering that too. It looked like it was her.
Sounded like her too. I'm like, I think it is.
Paraflix was there, and
yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was their event. They put the event on. So I just happened to be doing a contract in Dallas, and I'm like, I'm only an hour and a half away from well. So
drive time.
Yeah.
Was that Natalie there too?
That was Natalie.
I didn't even notice any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a docuseries that's on Paraflix.
Yeah.
What I thought was fantastic about this is we talk about para-unity, and we talk about all of us getting along in the paranormal community, but this is a flippin' great example of para-unity. There is a deaf person that only can feel and sign, and they're getting to experience paranormal too.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
It was so flippin' cool when I saw that.
Well, and to add to that, Chris, the fact that, going back to the para-unity thing, the fact that when we could have asked any question in the world and done anything, but everyone in that room, and you can go to the whole like global consciousness thing and go deeper than that. Everyone wanted him to have an experience, and so the questions they were asking: can you touch him? Can you make a noise or something? It was all focused on him to have an experience. It wasn't a random just throwing questions out or anything. We were all hyper focused on him having an experience, and then it happened. So
that's fantastic.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Which probably helped, of course, with him having the experience, all those intentions, those good intentions. So yeah.
I mean, maybe something for somebody else to try on their investigation, just something to think about,
Good point. Very good point.
That is awesome. Well, Mikey, we have reached the point of the show that we call shameless plugs. Okay. Where can people find you? Where can they see your evidence? Where are you going to be next?
Oh, well, I got a lot going on. I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be I'm going to Waverly this month. I gotta do it because it's my bucket list. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to be doing some stuff. I'm going to be following Spirit Realm around. I'll be in Missouri, St. Joseph, Missouri, for 3 different locations there that weekend. And then April, I'm going to be out at Tombstone with you.
Oh, very cool.
Yes.
That's awesome. I didn't know you'd be there, Mikey. That's great.
Yeah, I'm going to be Rick's right-hand man out there. So I get to hang out with you out there. And then June, we're going back to Scotland. So I've got some stuff up on the website, you guys. It's scarsociety.com. And I have listen, I am the worst clip making guy. If you couldn't tell by these little clips I sent you, I do like, iMovie and I don't have the fancy stuff. So, but I have at the Scar Society YouTube. I put some stuff up there that we've caught along the way. I left the crappy videos and the little trailers from years ago up there just so people could see the progression over the years. We're horrible, guys. Horrible. I think I have like 18 subscribers or something. Don't even waste your time. But I got this stuff on the website, and then I'm on Facebook too. I'm horrible with social media. I really got to get better at this because I really enjoy this part. But I really like being on in this platform and sharing with people and having conversations about it too. So
awesome.
But that's
fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You'll have fun with Rick, I'm sure, and definitely with Team Rathman and Tombstone. That'll be fun.
Right.
Yes, I can't wait.
It's always a good time with Rick. He's got a great sense of humor, and he's really good at investigating. He's got this natural aura about him that just makes him communicate. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's incredible.
I call him the K2 King and I'm talking about the old school little, single access push button K2 that everybody mocks, makes fun of, but we'll have all this thousands of dollars worth of equipment in the room, and he's over there with his K2 just getting lit up, So
my favorite.
At the Scar Society, Everett, again. you might want to do the website, scarsociety.com. There's more stuff on there. The YouTube's horrible, brother. I'm not even going to lie, but honestly, I love, I don't know how much time we got, but Staticom, to me, guys, the stuff that you're doing, if I can just for a minute, like I have always struggled with the spirit boxes because these things can be going off in the place and someone can say, what? There's a box on the bottom shelf in the closet on the left side. And all I hear is, I'm like, I can't figure it out. The fact that
we understand that.
Yeah. And I've always been fascinated. Like I wanted to do this little, thing with the EVPs as far as I'm curious to see, if I can take these EVPs and break them down, single them down to a specific frequency range. I know you guys are doing stuff with frequencies and things like that. And I'm a big fan of Bocce and his whole thing and all of that. We did some stuff with my friends at Porterville Ghost Society. They're big on frequencies too. Shannon Amos, he's got this thing called the Amos effect that we do, where we loop frequency ranges before we go into a place and kind of see if that stirs stuff up. And we actually had a great experience at the Glen Tavern Inn with that, and things like that. But where is this going, like with the frequencies, and is that a thing? I talked to Sean at Ghost Stop about, is it possible to create a database with EVPs that are broken down to say like 2,500 hertz to 3,000 hertz is where we measured it at, and then create a device that will focus on that range so that we're cutting out all the other stuff? Like, is that a thing? Am I just crazy? Like,
no, there's something. Go ahead, Tony. If you want to go, I'll add to it after you speak.
Well, what we've determined using every frequency the human ear can hear is that there is no specific frequency. They are literally all over the boards. Yep. And they come in, every voice can be different at different frequency, at different level, which is why we use broadband white noise, because anything above the broadband spectrum is outside of human hearing anyway. Lower than 20 hertz, higher than 20 kilohertz, right. Your human ear can't hear that. So we've literally got a base of every physical sound that the human ear can hear. That way we don't miss anything. And right. No matter what range they come in at any given time, and it will vary from sentence to sentence, word to word, it'll alter. So the variables behind how that happens, we don't know or understand yet. But we do know that limiting the frequency will literally just limit your responses. That's the best answer I can give right now.
Yeah, it could. So what I mentioned before, stochastic resonance is when anything enters into white noise, which is, as Tony said, everything we can hear, the whole range, 20 hertz to 20,000. It matches one of those frequencies, and those two get amplified. You build a momentum. The rest of the white noise, as we progress in what we do with Staticom, we lop off the noise floor. So only what is left up above that through resonance becomes the final product that you hear. And I think I cleared up how I explained that. Compliments of Tony, who really said it so freaking well that last show he did, remember? He did. So that's part of it. The other part of it is when people ask about what's the ghost frequency, there's two issues with that theoretically that are kind of conflicts that are hard to get around. We don't have any information, empirically or otherwise, about where the sounds are coming from, about an origin point, right? So we can't know what frequency they're sending or coming in on, but we can use almost as a net the frequencies we have available to us, as Tony explained, to try to see where we're fielding them. And the reason I say about not knowing too is that most people will agree that time, space as we know it, they don't necessarily attribute that to the spirit realm. We don't know that it doesn't apply, but most people say that it doesn't. And frequency is what? It's units of measure of time, right? It's oscillations per second. So if they don't have time as we have it, then that's your measuring stick for the oscillations, and matching frequency where they are to where we are is almost like trying to translate drum sounds into words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's two different languages. We don't know anything about the source, so we try to use everything we have available with receiving.
Yeah, because I was always fascinated how, I think Bocce he would tune his radio to between like 7 and 9 megahertz or something, and that was his hot spot.
Yeah.
And I felt like maybe there is a way to narrow it down, but then again, you guys that's not the case, right? With, like you said, we're opening it up, and
well, the other reason too is and my mentor, who when we started doing direct radio voice 5-6 years ago, is Dr. Annabelle Cardoso. She sat with Bocce.
Yeah.
So we brought direct radio voice back, and we've been doing it with the Rathmans for several years. We call it Staticom because the source of the white noise, we remove the radio.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons he worked on AM, because AM is more prone with bigger waves for interference. And he did it between stations because he was trying to maybe borrow from some of the harmonics, but for the most part, stay away from broadcast and try to find a vacant spot. What we found from a couple different instances between Tony Shree and us two is that we were able to get voices without a radio. So we use generators that create white noise, and then we slow that down and filter it in real time. And it takes one of the two things we get hit with when people are cynical about ITC off the table. One of them is always you're getting radio bleed through. You're picking up broadcasts. Now we can't receive a signal. The only other thing that they have left is to say that we're interpreting warbles and artifacts of sound to be words because we can discern patterns in randomness, and white noise is random. And the problem with that from us, how we respond to that is that saying we can discern patterns appeals to our intellect, because that's how we communicate. We hear sounds and patterns of sounds that make words and phrases that we understand as language. So that doesn't debunk it. That, if anything, supports that we know what we're hearing.
Yeah.
The other part is that white noise is not fundamentally random. It's deterministic. There's electromagnetic fields, quantum fields, charged ions from the sun, intention, we believe, by the characteristics of speech that it exhibits. We just say, not just the paranormal field, just in life, we say random when we can't calculate or measure something. So we say that
explain it.
Right. Yeah. We can't explain it. It's not practical or possible in the moment to calculate everything that's factoring in. So they say random, but it's just it's an empty drawer. It's not random. It's just determined by a bunch of things we can't calculate. So it's what it technically is it's computationally irreducible. You can't, down to the constituent parts, explain it. But it's not random just because it's not practical to explain it. So we took the radio out for those two reasons.
Well, I just want to hold on before we go any further. I just want to point this out. So Roger just said this.
Yeah, so that
noise came
from that noise came from our house. That came from downstairs. Every dog is up here. Cherie and I are the only ones here. We heard it plain as day, and we're freaking out. And then
we heard voice too.
Roger said this. Roger, you are absolutely right. Cherie's like, what the heck was that? Our stairs go down here and then curve over, and we're upstairs in the loft. So I went around the wall to look. There's nobody. I don't know what we were hearing.
I was wondering why you were freaking out. I thought maybe some technical issue happened.
No,
we heard a voice.
Yeah, I heard a voice, and then I heard like banging, or I don't know what it was.
Close to Tony.
Yeah, it was right here, but it's downstairs.
Yeah, Jax is here in his desk.
Loki's right over here.
It's that little fucker from Mikey's Investigations. What that is?
I hope it's not the little
howler.
I hope it's the little man.
No, it's the howler. The howler.
Well, we'll have to play it back and see. What
right?
Yeah, for sure.
I can tell you right now, guys, we keep getting weird shit happening on the show. And as much as all of us dwell in the paranormal, it is not shocking. It's not.
Yeah.
It can be surprising, and that was because I was not expecting that. But
is that Raul?
Yeah.
No, we don't have kids.
No, yeah, there's no kids.
It's just the two of us.
It's just the two of us, and the two dogs are right here. So
that's awesome. They have a real time. It doesn't get better than that.
No.
Okay.
Make sure the toilet flushes. We got those all fixed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was funny.
We were repairing them like 2 months ago. We ripped everything
All
out.
of
Sorry,
them.
not to drag the show on. Sorry, Chris,
Okay.
go ahead.
The toilet's flush. That's great.
Mikey, if you get a chance, check out. You'll get to see Tony and Cherie in doing Staticom in Tombstone. If you get a chance to check out Ron and Lourdes when they're doing it, you got to check it out. And then if you go back and watch our show from last week, we showed some of their new clips that they just got recently from Staticom 2.0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to some. I couldn't believe how clear. Like, I guess what brought that up was, I can't. It's amazing the clarity that comes through that. Like I can actually hear what's really being said versus the old spirit box where it's just all jarbled to me. And it's just, I applaud you guys for all the work that you've had to put into this project. Thank you for bringing that to the paranormal field so that, we can spread that out and use it and share it. I'm excited about it. And I'm sure everybody else is too, because it's brilliant. But I love this opportunity to be able to pick your brains about it, because I sit over here in this room by myself thinking about this stuff and like, who am I going to talk to about this without people running away from me, So I was super grateful to have this opportunity to ask those kinds of questions, because there are people out there, you guys, that are actually putting it together and making it work. I hope one day I have something to contribute to the paranormal community too, like this, because it's just brilliant. I mean, I applaud you guys for doing that. And really,
we appreciate that. We appreciate it. It's gotten to the point that it's gotten through some of the same principles that Chris was celebrating earlier in the show, which having to do with unity and working together. Lourdes and I brought Direct Radio Voice back 5-6 years ago. And one of the best things we did for the process was collaborate with Tony and Cherie, because what we had was good and what we had got better. Yeah. And collectively, we back and forth this all the time. And our goal was not to go to market with it. It was just, we looked at Bocce. Yeah, it was the research. We looked at Bocce. Like I said, my mentor, and I still talk to, she's the only one thing surviving from the old guard of the EVP and ITC pioneers, Friedrich Jurgensen, Marcello Bocce, Ernst Sinkowski, who coined the term ITC. And we watched what they got, and we couldn't believe nobody was doing it. And we couldn't believe that was happening. I wonder if we can replicate that, and let's see if we can try it. The interesting thing about Tony is that we've been ITC people for a while. Tony built amazing boxes. He never sold them because he was always about research. So he's got a foothold in the past from knowing every inner working about how you build them and what they do. Yeah. And he's now technically at the forefront of the Staticom thing that we're doing also. So that's two different. The Sweep and Ghost box works. We're not knocking it either. We love them. We own them. Tony built them. They work. We think that resonance with the white noise is exactly how the Ghost boxes work. But the Sweep itself is what's truncating or giving you a brevity to the messages, because it's cycling through the band. We don't think it has anything to do with moving fragments around at superluminal speed from broadcast to try to put things together. We don't think the Sweep is necessary, nor the broadcast. And it does give fodder to the people who don't believe in it.
Well, do you think that there's a like linear sweep versus step sweep? Is that a factor in this stuff too? And as far as how it's
the biggest factor is the sweep itself, because the radio bands, when you pick up a radio band, it cuts off the spirit communication completely. All they need is the white noise. That's all. Yeah. So,
the two examples where we call it Staticom, which Tony and Cherie brought to the dance. We did a zinc mine in New Jersey under the surface of the earth with a shortwave frequency, and we got voices. Nobody could get anything on a spirit box. This is a geological Faraday cage at its best. Like, there was no signal, period. Yeah. Tony did a demonstration at a Paracon, and he used this, and this is ballsy.
It is.
I say it all the time, because you do shit in your house as research. Okay, you're a researcher. I get it. He's doing it. He's got an audience watching him. If he fell on his face, he didn't care. He had an idea. Yeah. And he used a sleep machine with a chip recorder, pre-recorded, not live white noise. Can't receive a signal. He got voices. So we looked at that, and we looked at what happened in the mind, and we went, carrier signal, RF, it's not necessary. It's the white noise.
Wow. But that's brilliant, though. I mean, just eliminate it. Take it out of the equation, and then break it down.
That's how it went from direct radio voice to Staticom, because we're like, we can't call it radio. There's no radio anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fan, you guys. Thank you for.
You are also contributing to the paranormal field in a huge way, because what you did for that gentleman was a beautiful thing, and I love that. That's beautiful.
Great.
We all we should do things like that. There's not enough of it. It's not enough of it.
That was a whole group thing. I was proud to be a part of that. That was, you could see Natalie and Patty and everybody, like, just let's focus on this gentleman and see if we can get him an experience. It was a pleasure to be a part of that, But like you said, that's why we do it.
Well, you demonstrated strong, highly respectable character from the second you started speaking on the show. So I don't disagree with her in the least. That's an important thing for this field, especially today when it's become some kind of a paranormal soap opera from senses of entitlement getting out of control. Like, everything you get, gratitude. Nobody owes you anything,
Excellent point, Ron.
We're grateful for every podcast, anybody who wants to hear 2 words that come out of my mouth. I'm grateful. They read one of my books. Thank you. I'm not a celebrity, nor will I ever be a celebrity in this field. I'm just a participant.
Right.
And I'm just a student. And I'm a student of everybody you see on the screen here, as much as I'm a teacher, equally at all times.
And we all go by that.
Yep.
By that theory. So well said, Ron.
Very well said. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody for coming back out tonight. We will be back next week. Same people. Again, I apologize. You guys just glutton for punishment. You keep coming back to see the 6 of us. I don't know.
I'm gonna sign an autograph that says "Dear Facebook user" because I don't know who that is.
Yeah, we can't see your name. Sorry.
You got to tell us. Yeah, unless you give Facebook permission.
Kyla.
That's Kayla?
It's Kayla.
That's Kayla. Yeah, sorry.
Kayla from Ohio, Kayla?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
From Ohio.
You're going to make me look stupid.
Kayla Simonton. Yeah, it's Kayla. Oh, of course. She goes,
hi, Kayla.
You don't want an autograph. It'll be valued whatever I sign.
Kayla Simonton.
She's fantastic. She runs a lot of places. You have to give permission to
Kayla.
The Facebook or to StreamYard for Facebook to use your name.
And Kayla, I want you to make a note of it. I didn't mess your name up this time. Audra did.
Yeah, and that permission has to be given prior to joining. You can't do it while you're watching.
Yeah.
Right. But she's awesome. She runs a lot of great stuff in the Ohio area.
But thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Thanks, Mikey, for being part of the show. Fantastic evidence, fantastic guest.
Thank you for having me. Honestly,
it's Simonton. I believe it's Simonton.
Yeah,
I said right, and I'm getting blamed for it because you.
And thank you to the fans. Thank you for everybody that tuned in, and appreciate you guys taking the time.
We got a great crew for sure.
Great crew.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We will see you next week, same time, same stations. If you ain't seen it, you ain't looking because we plaster it everywhere. And remember, guys, if you want to catch a howl from the creepy thing at the bottom of the stairs looking up, you got to hang out with Mikey. But most of all, you got to stay haunted. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?